You are watching Stories from the Top, B2B Sales Buzz with Baxavanis, and I am your hostess, Jennifer Baxavanis. Today's sales tip comes from Rachel Pether, who is the managing partner of Sovereign Wealth Limited. Sovereign Wealth Limited was founded a few years ago in Abu Dhabi with the mission to reduce and streamline investment matchmaking processes. Rachel has a really interesting story, as she is a fund manager in a sector that has a very low representation of women. And she is passionate about helping a part of the market that is also not very well represented. What she's doing is connecting emerging money managers to institutional capital. So here is Rachel Pether with her introduction and her sales tip for today. Hi, Rachel. It's really great to be with you today. Please give us a short introduction about you and the Sovereign Wealth Limited.
Sure. So thanks very much for talking to me today. My name is Rachel Pether. I'm a managing partner at Sovereign Wealth Limited. We're a consultancy that's set up here in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, and it's a joint venture between myself and the Sovereign Wealth Fund Institute, which is a US-based data and intelligence company. So we sit on the world's largest transaction database of sovereign wealth fund transactions in the world. And we also have this great, client and member database. And so what we're trying to do with this entity is really leverage that data and find a better way of providing advice and matchmaking for our clients and members.
Was there anything like that before in Abu Dhabi?
There was not, no. So this is a first for the region, and we're really just trying to leverage the global network that we have, because obviously institutional investors are everywhere. So we're really just trying to leverage from our hub in Abu Dhabi and our offices in Singapore and also in Seattle.
Great, I got that. So I imagine that the Sovereign Wealth Limited is looking for clients and members. So why don't you share with our audience a sales tip that has helped you and your company succeed here?
Sure. So I originally started my career as a journalist, and I spent about 6 years working for the BBC. And then I transitioned into investment management. And when I made that move, so many people ask me, well, these are two very distinct and different career paths. How did you transition from journalism into investment management? And I thought, well, actually, the commonality that they both have is that it's not about having all the answers. It's about knowing how to ask the right questions. And I think that's a really valuable tool set that you can apply to sales. We see so many people coming into meetings and they don't ask questions. They just go in there with their pitch. But there's so much value, obviously, in really knowing what someone's looking for, and then you know how to best provide them with what they need. And so what we do is we ask, a ton of questions. It's always great to be intellectually curious. And then we can leverage the data that we have, which is the world's largest database, to help scale the business and essentially matchmake, I guess, institutional investors with deals that are suitable and suited for them.
Yeah, it is very, very powerful to have a lot more questions in your pocket as a person that's going to be selling services, as opposed to knowing all the intricate details of what you're selling. So why don't you share with our audience a story that demonstrates Sovereign Wealth Limited or yourself using that sales tip?
Sure. I mean, there's a ton of stories that have gone right and have gone wrong. And I think obviously you typically learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. But quite recently, we were in London meeting with some of the large UK pension funds there. And, people are very busy globally. That's not a thing that's specific to any region. But we had 30 minutes with the CIO of the largest corporate pension fund in the UK. And we sat down, and I was with a fund manager from a venture capital group. And we asked questions for the first 20 minutes and then realized that there were 10 minutes left. And the CIO was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've only left you 10 minutes. And our client said, well, if I can't describe my story in 90 seconds, it's, not really worth explaining anyway. So he explained in 7 minutes, and we had another 3 minutes left for questions. And after that meeting, the CIO said to us, the fact that you sat here and wanted to know more about my business than you thought it necessary to, know about yours just makes me want to do a follow-up. This is the first time I've had a meeting where the majority of the time has been spent explaining who we are and what we do. And, that relationship, this was probably about 3 weeks ago, but that relationship has continued to progress. So I think that was a really great example of, be interested in people. It's one of the great things about having your own business is you have this autonomy. So you get to choose who you work for, and you don't want to work for people that all they care about is pushing a product or pushing a service. You want to, there's no satisfaction that comes from selling someone something that they don't need. Like, that's not the world we live in. So much more satisfaction comes from genuine needs-based relationships where you're actually, solving a customer pain.
I got that. It's just amazing that you can see how time can appear or time can disappear really quickly with your prospective clients. In my own experience and the experience I have working with salespeople here, the inexperienced people, they'll really shuffle. If they hear that they only have 30 minutes, maybe the first knee-jerk reaction is talk about the product or service, when it takes a really experienced salesperson to think, okay, I'm going to pull back and I'm going to use these 30 minutes or these X amount of minutes in a way that's really going to help this relationship, and we're really going to find a solution. And magically, time always appears. In those situations, either the person you're speaking to, the 30 minutes can become 45 minutes, or, as in your case, a new meeting can be scheduled right after with lots of willingness.
Completely. And look, you can always, it's much easier to follow up with your presentation deck and some things about you than it is to actually extract information from people, right? So you always have to look at, this is the situation I'm in, this is the time I've got, how do I maximize it? And if it's a face-to-face, yep, just ask away.
Absolutely. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for your comments. This has been an excellent interview.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Lovely to speak to you as always.
If you find the sales tip that Rachel and I discussed today interesting, or have some feedback or questions, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, if you like the video, please click like or subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.